Hi, I'm Franklin, and this is Law School Strategy, How I Graduated from Law School with a Job. How I Graduated from Law School is a series of interviews with practicing attorneys and legal professionals to find out more about their career journey. The purpose is for you to hear about how other legal professionals became employed and started their career following law school, or in some cases, relaunched their careers at a later stage in their professional life. It's not just young lawyers that we'll be talking with, but attorneys across all levels of experience and practice. The purpose isn't to try and prove the legal job market is perfect, because it's not, or convince you it's easy to get a job and there are tons of jobs out there, because there aren't. However, I do hope you gain some insights, ideas, tips, or other pieces of advice that can help you and your law school strategy. Because I do believe that if you work hard, follow the advice that we share, you'll be closer than ever to graduating from law school with a job. On this episode, we have attorney Shakeatha Davis from Houston, Texas. Hey, how's it going?
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. We're happy to have you. So I'm going to go ahead and kick it off with the first question. Why did you go to law school? And what were some of the things that you did before going to law school?
I went to law school because I've always wanted to be an attorney since I was about 6 or 7 years old. And some things that I did before law school is I've always been into music. And so I traveled and with my family. My family's a family of musicians. So I've had a few albums released with them. And I graduated a couple of years from Xavier University in New Orleans with a double major in music and English. So before law school, I definitely was a singer and a musician.
Great. And so what kind of led you to the decision to go to law school? Did you do anything in particular while you were an undergrad that led towards that decision?
I was just trying to figure out that next step, whether I wanted to continue my musical career and go to grad school as a singer, or whether I wanted to start now on the path of being an attorney. But I always had an interest in becoming an entertainment attorney, and that was prompted by my father, who's a musician. He signed a very bad contract when I was about 13 or 14. And I remember reading that contract and thinking that something was wrong. And so I just think that a lot of times artists and musicians are not educated on being able to have legal representation. So that really sparked my interest to want to do it after law school, with just making that next step.
That's amazing. Yeah, it's a great personal story and kind of a personal drive to get you through law school, because sometimes it can be pretty tough to get through those courses. So now the question, now the question that everybody wants to know: did you graduate from law school with a job? And if so, how did you do it?
Well, I did graduate from law school with a fellowship appointment. So I was a presidential management fellow finalist, and I was planning on going to the Department of Energy. And that was prompted by my work with BP. And so I did a lot of interviews my third year with some firms, and I did have some offers, but I thought that this was the approach that I wanted to take because it would give me a career um, in energy, and I could go back and work for BP once I had enough experience as an energy attorney. So, however, during the fall of 2013, government shutdown happened. And although I was still a presidential management fellow finalist, the jobs with all the agencies were halted a bit, and for some of the agencies that I was looking at. So I was not appointed in fall of 2013 because of this budget crisis. And a little bit after that, I worked and did some contract work with Hess Corporation. And then I worked for the small firm that I interned with through law school.
Great. Well, it sounds like it was just not the right timing to graduate at that time, and that's probably what led to you not getting that, it sounds like. So let's back up just a little bit, because it sounds like you had some really impressive opportunities throughout law school. Can you kind of describe what you did to be able to obtain those opportunities, and what steps you took to prepare yourself to do well in those functions?
Well, a little bit about my background that I did not mention is that I worked for Acadiana Works when I was in Louisiana before. This is during undergraduate, my undergraduate matriculation. So I was able to have some job hunting skills because that's actually what I did. I helped people find jobs. So I just knew kind of what opportunities I wanted. in law school. So I sought opportunities that were interesting to me and that I thought would build my career. So my first internship was with BP. I absolutely loved it, and that slated my view of law and moving forward what I wanted. The culture was awesome. I got to meet a lot of wonderful people, and so that influenced what I wanted to do moving forward as an attorney. And so during my second summer, I also worked for a small firm, and then I had a internship with federal judge Bohm, as well as the Honorable Judge Hoyt I had in the fall of 2012. And so those things helped me to be able to understand litigation and the different issues that you may attorney. And so from there, I also worked with the Earl Carl Institute, and I got the opportunity to publish a book with them, and that allowed me to understand that I really, really wanted to work on some publications and become a published author. And that takes me back to my undergraduate degree, which is music. So I just really, really sought out opportunities. I also had an offer to work for a credit union, and I had an offer to work for the FDA. I declined those offers to work for the federal judges because with me and what I wanted to do, I felt like those opportunities would be able to lead me to other opportunities. So I think that it's really important for you to know what opportunities you want to go after and not accepting every opportunity. Um, because those federal internships were really important for me, I let the other opportunities pass because I felt that those would be more beneficial. And I just think that you have to know that as a student, what opportunities are going to be most beneficial to you. And those were.
Definitely, that's some excellent advice. So two things I can bring out if you don't mind. First of all, I know I did the same thing when I was applying. I didn't just put all my eggs in one basket, if you will. I made sure to apply for multiple opportunities each semester. And so it sounds like you were doing the same thing. And that really allows you to kind of reverse what most law students experience, where you're kind of hoping for just an opportunity, but instead you're able to be selective because you're more likely to get back at least a couple options and have the choice to decide and kind of really structure how you want your law school career to go and what paths you want to take. So that's excellent, excellent advice. Do you have any insights into about rough estimates, how many applications you might have submitted during law school?
Oh gosh, I submitted so many applications. I'm sure it's hundreds, probably near thousands of applications because at some point you're just throughout law school, that's 3 years that you're just constantly submitting applications. And I know that I did at least hundreds in some settings. So I'm sure it was probably near the thousands that I actually submitted just because I knew that something was going to hit. So I was definitely doing volume, but I was also doing opportunities that I was actually interested in. So I submitted hundreds of applications and I got hundreds of denials and rejections. I also went on hundreds of interviews. So you can't give up. You got to keep going.
Definitely, persistence is key. I want to also touch on what you said about publishing a book. Can you mention just briefly what that experience was like, and then also what doors has that opened for you to be able to have a publication, especially so early in your legal career, and even during law school, to have a publication on your resume and something to talk about during interviews?
That was awesome. I actually don't talk about it as much as I probably should, but it was a project that some student writers and I were working on with the Earl Carl Institute, and we actually got a chance to research and do some writing on the past presidents of the institution. And so that was published the following year, a really nice hard copy of a book. And I really got a chance to kind of know the presidents and know some of the things that the law school that I attended stood for. And so it was an awesome opportunity. But I think that it was just something that I wanted to do. I wish that I had gotten published in undergrad, so I knew that I wanted to do a few publications in law school. I also was selected to do a publication with the law journal that I was on as well. So publications was really something that I wanted to do in law school. I plan on doing some more as a practicing attorney once my practice slows down a bit more.
Well, that's great to hear that you're having a very fluent practice. If we can kind of fast forward to when you started that, one of the questions I sent you that I wanted to ask was what it was like to change that, do a career change almost, from that contract position you had to starting your own firm. A lot of law students probably hear that hanging your shingle is either not recommended or it's a scary avenue to take, but I think it's more and more becoming the common thing to do and more of the norm. There are a lot of resources out there for students to be able to do that, or recent grads to be able to do that. So can you talk about what that change was like and what it was like opening your own law firm?
Yes, definitely. So I managed a business before I went to law school, so I was familiar with business management. And so I built that business. It was a branch of a healthcare agency, and I built that from about revenue of 10,000 to hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue. So I did understand what it took to manage a business, but there's a difference between when it's someone else's business and then when it's your business. Very big difference. So it took a little coaxing from some of my mentors for me to hang my shingle. But it was the transition was not as hard as I thought it was. The small firm that I worked for doing law school helped me. They were able to feed me cases. They helped me with some of the forms, and so I was mentored throughout the process. I was able to get very low cost office space initially. That was with the small firm that I was with, and so they really helped with the transition. So it was not as hard for me just because I had a lot of support. However, I would just advise to make sure that you do your due diligence on running a practice because there's a lot of things that you can get into as a young attorney, but you just want to make sure that you have some support from older attorneys and people that you can go and ask for in mentorship. But sometimes you are forced to kind of put up your own shield. And since you are able to do that, you make sure you do so responsibly and that you do your research and you treat it like a business.
Great. Yeah, that's insightful. Very good information there. So let's go back to either law school or being a recent grad. What were some of the challenges that you faced, or what were some struggles that you had to overcome during those time periods?
I think that in once I was a recent graduate, when the shutdown happened, I think that I was really shocked because that was my job opportunity, and I really thought that I was going to be placed. I did hours and hours of interviews in order to get that job. And so just accepting that there was a transition. Now looking back, I can say that that was one of the best things that happened because I probably would not have started my own law practice. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I love starting businesses, but I probably would not have started my actual law practice. However, with something that happens like that, where you are facing a career change or there's something that wasn't exactly planned that happened, I think that that's your opportunity to really look at that and find out how you can use that to propel you forward. So I looked at it, and after being heartbroken that was going on and that my job was disappearing, I think that I kind of sprang into action to this my next move. So I couldn't stay in the space where I was just sulking about the job. I had to move towards what's my next plan. So I think that you just have to be very action oriented and always having a plan B or C or D sometimes and just being resilient until you get where you want to get.
So I'm going to move on to the last question. We're almost out of time here. So I want to know if let's pretend you're back in law school, no panic attacks, I hope, and you're about to graduate. What advice would you give to current law students, either to differentiate themselves in the marketplace or advice on how to best position themselves when they graduate? What are some general tips or ideas that you would share with them or yourself back then?
To begin, when you're a first year law student, that you have to kind of think of what do you think that you're interested in, and so you want to take classes in law school that feed your interest so that you can decide if you really like that practice area or if you want to do it just because everyone else is doing it. um, because you want to be an attorney and a practicing attorney that's doing something that you like. You know, law can be stressful at times. Having the weight of clients can be stressful. And so if you're in the profession and you're practicing, you want to do something that you actually like because that makes up for the stressful times. So I think having a plan from day one when you start and trying to figure out how you're going to get to whatever your end goal is. You don't want to be scrambling as a third year law student, trying to find a job or trying to think about what you want to do. It's too late then, but it is very late, and it puts you at a disadvantage because you have people that have been planning since their first year. So you just want to take opportunities um, to help position yourself where you want to be. And I would also say a lot of the skills that I had pre law school helped me in law school and kind of helped me decide what I was going to do moving forward. So some of the management skills, some of the business skills that I had that were not related to being an attorney, but more of being a business person helped me with my law practice. So whatever background you have, maybe marketing, communications, PR, it doesn't have to be pre-law. You can take that with you into your legal career. My job searching skills I took into my legal career, and that helped me to be able to get jobs. So I just think that having a plan, making sure that all the skills and everything that you learned before you became an attorney, that you take those with you and then you become the most awesome attorney that you can. Sometimes life throws things at you that you cannot anticipate, but you just got to roll with the punches. And if your first plan doesn't work, make a new plan.
Excellent. Yes. So thank you so much, Shakeatha, for taking the time to talk today and share some really, really great insights. We appreciate it. And
Thank you.
if people wanted to get in touch with you, either current law students or recent grads, what are the best ways to reach out to you?
You can reach out to me via email, info@sdavislawgroup.com. I'm very responsive to my email. I'm also on Google Plus. I'm on LinkedIn. My profile, Shakeatha Davis. You can follow me on Facebook, Shae Davis. And so either of those mediums, if you have any questions, just reach out to me and I'll definitely follow up with you.
Great. Thank you again. And thank you, everybody, for watching. And make sure you subscribe for future episodes of Law School Strategy, How I Graduated from Law School with a Job.